Good evening, everybody. It is February 11th, 2013. It is time for our regularly scheduled village board meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Aiello.
Here.
Trustee Bolfus.
Here.
Trustee Taglia.
Here.
Trustee Case.
Here.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Here.
President Cullerton.
Here, and if you could all please rise for the pledge. Executive Director of our Chamber of Commerce, Alicia Bailey, could you lead us in the pledge, please? Could all remain standing. Trustee Taglia, could you lead us in a prayer, please?
Certainly. Our Heavenly Father, will thou be pleased to grant that this meeting, thus begun in order, be conducted in peace and closed in harmony. Amen.
I'd like to go to item 3, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee
I
Taglia,
will move to approve the agenda.
can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee Aiello.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call on approval of the agenda, please.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
President Cullerton.
Yes. All right, we will go to item 4. The next 2 items are very cool items that I absolutely love seeing throughout the village. First, we will go to our new community development director, Patrick McGrill. Please, if you could, I guess, bring everybody up, describe their properties, tell us what makes these properties unique, and where exactly they are so our residents can go patronize these fabulous businesses.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. President. So often we hear about code enforcement issues, about this problem not looking good and that problem not looking good. So staff goes out and they do the requisite inspections, try to bring them up to code. But what we never do is recognize those property owners who really take that to heart and really want to make their properties look better. So this evening, for the first time, I want to present to several property owners in town a Community Appearance Award based on properties that had previously been before us for property maintenance issues, and which the owners have now, again, brought up to code and actually exceeded the code. So tonight I'd like to recognize 4 properties for being so proactive and community-minded in their property maintenance. The first family I'd like to recognize is the Smith family from 214 North Harvard Avenue. This was a house that the previous owner had been cited numerous times for property maintenance violations. We had them in court many times. They would just bring it up to the minimum property levels. But when the Smiths bought the house, they were made aware of the issues, and they really went over the top in meeting our expectations for what we thought were property maintenance issues. So the first Community Appearance Award this evening I'd like to present to Victoria Smith and Gary and Maria Smith.
Come on up to the podium.
On behalf of Villa Park, I'd like to present to you this Community Appearance Award for taking your home on Harvard Avenue and making it look so nice and a real credit to the neighborhood. The next property I'd like to recognize is a property on St. Charles Road that was a former restaurant.
Don't worry, it's all fine.
What's that?
It's all fine. I saw you follow it.
Okay.
Good.
And it was purchased by Mr. Carrera, Rotilo Carrera. It's called R.C.'s Grill at 117 West St. Charles Road. It was a former national chain that fell into disrepair. The village had spent years trying to get the bank to try to bring it up to code, but it wasn't until Mr. Carrera purchased it and turned it into R.C.'s Grill that he really turned that property around and made that stretch of St. Charles Road look very, very nice.
They're 24-hour, right?
Just about the only one in town.
The next property is 203 South Villa Avenue. It's a multifamily property that for years was an eyesore. The Community Development Department had issued numerous citations to the previous owner to bring it up to code. We were unsuccessful until the current owner, Frank Gentile, brought the property and has made a world of difference in how that property looks at 203 South Villa. So this Community Appearance Award goes to Frank Gentile. And the last Community Appearance Award this evening, we'd like to recognize Motorcycle Center at 433 East St. Charles Road for turning a former automobile facility into what I think is a fabulous motorcycle center. And the property looks fantastic. They have done everything that we have asked them to do in terms of property maintenance. And for that, I don't know, I didn't know if anybody was here from Motorcycle Center. I know they stay open late. So if nobody's here representing them, I'll make sure that I get that over to them tomorrow. But that's Motorcycle Center at 433 East St. Charles. Mr. President, if I may, what we would like to do is, on a regular basis, when we have property owners who have gone above and beyond when it relates to property maintenance, to recognize them in this particular fashion and bring them here. So expect to see me in the future with similar awards.
Fantastic. Thank you, Patrick. All right, the next one is one of my favorite as well. It is the Community Pride Holiday Decorating Awards presentation. So I will let my Community Pride Commission get up and take the mic, and they can first introduce all your members and then bring up all your recipients.
Good evening. Ooh, I'm dropping it. Diane Blair Sherlock, Carol Davis, Alicia Bailey, and Shannon Sherlock of the Community Pride Commission. We're here tonight because in addition to the awards we do throughout the year, we do holiday decorating awards for Christmas. And we're here to present the winners, but before we do that, we want to talk about the chili cook-off. We have, the Community Pride Commission has the chili cook-off coming up on February 23rd. It's not too late to get your applications in. We also have a best cornbread contest as a part of this. You could get more information on invalidpark.com. Right, .com I think is right. Okay, and we hope to see some of you on the chili cook-off. Now I'm going to turn it over to the ladies to hand out the awards.
All right. Well, you know, it's always so hard when we're looking at decorations and wondering who's got the best. But we had to pick 4, so we have decided to pick Donna LaBarbera. And Donna always gets a tree at Joyful Traditions. So thank you so much for your wonderful decorations.
Now, do your pictures online?
No, we don't at this point. We will be putting them up. They were a little bit dark to kind of print, but they will be online. The next award at 640 South Monterey, Erin Peterson. Erin. Good job, wonderful job. Our third winner is Amy Brandt. And actually, this was an award for the entire block of 200 and 300 Riverside. So I guess this goes to everybody, right? And then Susanna Cloutier, there she comes, all dressed in purple, 36 We're very proud that you did such a great job. So thank you.
Puxatawny Phil, whatever happened with him, but he said early spring this year. And the next group of awards that we're gonna be doing are gonna be residential landscape awards. And when do you start doing that? In the spring, right? So just a reminder to folks, we'll be doing that coming up, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we're going through a few things. I just started up. That's what Patrick said. AT&T, apparently the AT&T feed out to the rest of the village was not working, so we've been going back and forth with our back room, and resident at home was going, wait, it's up, nope, it's down, wait, it's up, and she's got all that. And if everybody would like, for all those who just received awards, I know that the Community Pride Commission, and I'm sure Patrick would love for all of you to be in a picture. We want to make sure you're in the paper and showing off your award. And if you want to follow them, they'll get a great space for us to do a picture. Because you all look so fabulous. I would say go in the committee of the whole room, because that's the best spot. Okay. So we're done. All right, with that, we will go to item 6, consider bids for the Kenilworth Van Buren resurfacing project. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village proposes the resurfacing of Kenilworth west of Ardmore and Van Buren east of Oakland. This project is locally funded primarily through a 1/2 cent per cent dedicated sales tax. Public Works engineering staff prepared the plans and specifications. 12 contractors requested bid specifications and 10 submitted bids. Orange Crush LLC of Hillside, Illinois submitted the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $488,300. The engineer's estimate for the project was $559,565. Funds will be taken from the Street Improvement Fund. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board? I have one. When do we foresee this starting and breaking ground?
Your Honor, I believe after tonight, I'm sure there'll be pre-construction meetings and probably within 3 weeks. Is that correct, Peters? As soon as possible.
Soon as possible. I'm anticipating in March. They won't be able to do any asphalt until the plants open, which are usually in April, but there's a lot of preparatory work they can do prior to that.
If you can make sure to just drop a little note at the people on Kenilworth Avenue in that stretch, they will be more than pleased.
We sure will.
Thank you. All right. Consensus to move this to the formal?
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
President Colton?
And this moves to the bill listing. Item 7, advance to bill listing A through E. Any questions from the public? Any questions from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Colton?
That will move to the formal. Item 8, we will convene to the formal agenda. Item 1, Village President's Report. Just quick comment. Weather has been acting absolutely insane, so make sure you're checking on your neighbors. We're going from 0 degrees temperature all the way up to, now we're back at 50 degrees. Just check on your neighbors who are seniors. I would appreciate it. And then also, for those of you who want to know, the crime-free housing bill that I put up is actually going to committee on Thursday. We look forward to it. I'm actually kind of surprised when we put it up as a municipality and had other representatives bring it forward for us. It actually, Al, did it make it to committee?
It did make it to committee.
Did it make it out of committee?
No.
No. So hopefully Thursday we make it out of committee. But I've got DuPage Mayors and Managers has thrown their support behind it. Northwestern Municipal Caucus, Illinois Municipal League. So hopefully come Thursday we are one step closer to non-home rule municipalities being allowed to have the full home rule program. With that, we will go to item 2, public comments on agenda items. If there is anyone who would like to speak on an agenda item, please come to the front, sign in, and if we could keep it to 3 minutes, thank you. And then if you don't want to speak, if you want to speak on something that's not on the agenda, item number 15 is public comments on non-agenda items. So if there's something that's not on the agenda that you would like to speak about, if you could please wait till item 15. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cliff Duple, 60 East Oak Street, Villa Park. I am here again to talk about what is now on the formal agenda under number 4. First off, the whole reason why I am so opposed to this ordinance is that it is going to stop most small business qualified contractors from being able to bid. Okay, there's a lot of argument that this is union, non-union, and I really don't care. The way the ordinance reads, this is going to stop most small businesses. These small contractors already have to comply with state regulations. We have them already implemented, okay? So I don't understand, for the next part of being a non-home rule community, our ordinances mirror state regulations. I would like to know why 2 months before a new village president is to be elected, why is this coming up to vote now? Okay? Why an ordinance that is being voted on that I believe something has already been put together to show cost difference if we were to implement this ordinance on our last construction projects. And it clearly states that we would be paying a substantial amount of more money on our construction projects. I tried to FOIA that information, but I was told I was not privy to it. Again, I just don't understand why 2 months before a new president, we are going to try and implement an ordinance that is above and beyond a state ordinance, when all of our ordinances already mirror the state. So now let's look at the ordinance. Where is it defined as what is a construction project? It just says all construction projects. Okay? So if that was the case, let's look at the 325 North Avenue building. And all of the work that was done with that. Would we have been able to have our staff go and do all that work? According to this ordinance, no. And there's 2 reasons why we wouldn't be able to do that. First off is that, 1, it's not defined what is a construction project. And 2, if it was to be that all qualified bidders must have an apprenticeship and training program that is registered with the United States Department of Labor. Well, our union employees, union does not have an apprenticeship and training program registered with the United States Department of Labor. Okay? So with that, our staff would not be able to perform the work on any construction project. So with that, it goes to, where does the village's liability start and stop? If you are requiring an outside company to do that, but we don't even have that implemented within our own house. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Duple. Any other questions or comments from the public?
Comments? Bob Pirelli, 706 South Euclid, Villa Park, Illinois. To comment about his statement pertaining to your staff, what we're talking about as responsible bidder are provisions for contracts that are sent out to bid. If that was done in-house, there is no requirement. That is not an out-to-bid contract. That has nothing to do with the provisions for putting it out to bid. You did it with the in-house employees that work for the municipality or the village of Villa Park. That doesn't qualify for what he's getting at. That's not an out-for-bid contract. 2, these are stats from the United States Department of Labor. Illinois, 15,400 apprentices active during, and this was from 2012. 561 programs active. 23 new programs in 2012. 2,752 new apprentices in 2012. 3,006 graduates from various programs. These aren't just union programs. There are also programs that are registered with IDOT, including programs through the federal government, the various military groups are also registered with those, and that is in the IDOT. Now, I've got one thing from the Alaska Center for Public Policy that talks about between 1985 and 1995, 522 workers were killed in trench mishaps. And what we're talking about with training is we're talking about OSHA also, OSHA 10, OSHA 30, safety training, which is an inclusion in these programs. Of those, 60 of those who died were union, where those training programs are in place. Okay, 462 died in non-union, okay? So the ratio's outrageous, and the reason is because there's training. Now, here's one from the Department of Family and Preventive Medicine, and it's talking about fatal injuries in smaller companies which have more people that work for them that do not make careers out of it because it's not something where they train or stay on. Fatal injuries in teen construction workers differ from those in adults. They're more likely to be at small non-union firms with substantial portion were exempt from federal enforcement of child labor laws and routine OSHA inspections. Safety programs for young construction workers should be included in all non-union construction firms and in those special construction trades such as roofing, which is one of his complaints at small contractors. We're not just talking about union versus non-union. We're talking about skilled versus non-skilled. We're talking about production, your end result with callbacks and stuff. And one more time, I can't figure out how somebody that pays the prevailing wage as required by law, how somebody can state that it costs more. This new project over here that was bid out for the homes for the kids with disability Trinity, a lot of non-union and union contractors bid those. In a lot of cases, the union contractors were low. Those were the low numbers, and those were the people that were chosen. Okay, so again, it doesn't hit the mark where it's saying it costs more to abide by something that is already the law. So I'm here to tell you that I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of training. I'm in favor of getting the biggest bang for your buck and what you paid for. So I'd appreciate your consideration and your vote tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Pirelli. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Well, good evening, John Squeal, North Lincoln Avenue, Village Park. Speak on item number 4 as well, just a few more comments to add to what Bob said. I want to separate the responsible and bidder words and just kind of focus on the responsible word. Safety is a big part of responsibility, and I'm a member of the IBW for practically 24 years. That's going to be another benefit through training programs. As he said, OSHA 10, OSHA 30, when necessary, confined space training, PPE, personal protection equipment, fall protection, hard hat, safety glasses, gloves, proper maneuvers for the tasks, all those things come into play here, as well as just the money end of it. I've been hearing comments about architects and engineers overseeing projects. I can tell you sometimes architects and engineers can be a real challenge. They're not always right. Right now, I'm doing corrections and load calculations on the job I'm on, cable management, field changes. That's why we have to do as-builts to keep track of this stuff, so training comes into play there as well. I've heard some concerns that small contractors won't be able to handle the bids here. In my 24-year career, I have worked for several, probably 3 to 5 small contractors, 3 to 5 man operations that are still in business, still union affiliated, still bidding on commercial, institutional, as well as municipal work. So I think there is room to move on this. I'm glad that we're discussing it, and it was my main point several weeks ago, to get all the information out there. It's not a union, non-union issue, and glad to see that it's moving along at the rate that it is in all the participation. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Eric Knutson, 125 South Ardmore. I also have a comment on Agenda 4. I never knew that it was a bad thing to have a training program, because I think in everything that everyone does, there's some sort of training they go through. If you're a lawyer, you go to school, go to law school. If you're a doctor, you go to med school. So I know I wouldn't go to a chiropractor if I was going to have surgery. I know I wouldn't go to, if I wanted electrical work done, I wouldn't hire a plumber to do my electrical work. My sister's a beautician, and just because I've seen her cut hair doesn't mean I can cut hair. I mean, Tom let me do it to him once, and then look what happened. But, to me, whether it's non-union, union, a training program is a training program. You want someone that knows what they're doing, to come in and do the work, and I think that's pretty much what it is. I mean, for a small contractor, he can go to schooling and train his employees the same way as anyone else can. He himself can go to an ABC school that is non-union people go to all the time for training and whatever they're doing. So, to me, I think it's a huge thing not to have a training program, because you're just inviting a whole mess of problems of people that want to try to come in and do something that they're not qualified to do. And then you got a big mess on your hands, and buildings are falling apart, and all this other stuff can possibly happen. So, I've been a resident for my whole life here in Villa Park. I love this town, and I think we should try to keep it to where things aren't falling apart. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else to speak on any agenda items?
President Culleton and Council, if I may. My name is Bill Havel. I live at 2065, Navarone Drive in Naperville. And I suppose you're wondering what a Southsider's doing up here, right? It is about training, and everybody spoke very eloquently about the training. More so, I think we should look at our fiduciary responsibility as trustees of a village when we look at money. Training is one thing, and prevailing rate is another. When we look at prevailing rate, what it says is that the people who are going to do work in your town or village are going to get paid what the going rate is for this town, municipality, state. Now, with prevailing rate, what we have is we have a apprenticeship program that has a graduated sense of how we're going to pay these apprentices. What happens with the responsible bidder is it levels the playing field, because if a contractor comes in, does not have a qualified training program, and classifies his workers as an apprentice, at what level does that apprentice get paid? We don't know. That's the responsibility. That's where the fiduciary comes in, because you should know when somebody says this individual is an apprentice that they're going to get paid 55, 60, 70%, 80%, or 90% of journeyman scale, as well as 100% of journeyman scale. We can all agree on safety. That is primary number one. We can all agree on training. That is primary number two. But what we have to do is make sure that when we have a bid contract out there, that when it is let and you have the responsibility to make sure you get the biggest bang for your buck, that happens. That's the responsibility you have as trustees sitting on a village board. Responsible bidder augments your ability to make sure a contractor performing work in your municipality pays the freight that is supposed to be paid. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on an agenda item? Seeing none, we will go to item 3, consent agenda. A, minutes from village board meeting, January 28, 2012. B, minutes from village COW for January 28, 2012. C, approved bill listing dated February 11, 2013 in the amount of $132,030.42. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee
I'll
Taglia?
move for the consent agenda.
Can I have a second on the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
I'll second the motion.
Questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote on the consent agenda, please.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Volpez?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Colleton?
And the motion on the consent agenda passes. Item 4, second reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, bless you, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the requirements of bidders for construction projects. It is requested to adopt purchasing procedures to provide for additional requirements of bidders for construction projects to have active apprenticeship and training programs approved and registered with the United States Department of Labor, to have bidders show 3 similar projects they have constructed within the last 5 years. Can I have a motion on the second reading?
Mr. President,
Trustee
I'll
Taglia?
move for the second reading.
Can I have a second on the second reading?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Boltis?
you know, we've been talking about this now for a couple months. And we all agree that safety is a high priority. We all agree that we should get the biggest bang for the buck that the village spends. But sometimes I listen to some of the arguments, you know, we've been around about 100 years. I don't know how we made it this far without this ordinance. You know. In looking, one of my jobs as a trustee is to be a good steward of the funds that the residents of Villa Park entrust us with. And that means that I have to look to see to get the biggest bang for our buck and the safest way possible. And the history which I've seen is we haven't had any real problems in the past as far as safety or quality of work. And part of that has to do with our staff and the companies that we hire to oversee the construction projects. Now, as an example, for some of the projects that we've had done recently, dollar-wise, there is quite a bit of a difference between the person who won the bid, I'll use the word non-union company, and the next bidder down who was a union company. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. We had some roof repairs done at the wet water treatment center, and the difference was a savings to the village without this ordinance of $15,000. We also had some roof repairs at the Public Works office, and without this ordinance being in effect, the village savings was $14,000. We had some repairs at the Public Works garage, and the low bidder, which would not qualify underneath this ordinance, saved us $7,600, $7,600. We all know, we've all heard about the skate park project, which we see when we ride down Addison Road, which was recently completed, the savings to the village was $102,000. This next phase of the skate park area project, the savings to the village by not having this ordinance in place is $348,000. $348. Those are just some examples of the savings. What can we do with that kind of money? You know, we all hear all the time that we need roads fixed. We need money for fixing the roads. If we put this in place, we're just giving money away. And my job as a steward of the funds of this village is not just to give money away. At the end of our last meeting, one of the questions that came up, what can we do to raise more money to fix roads? And one of the ideas was, well, let's put in vehicle stickers. Well, you know, that just doesn't make any sense to me. On one end, we're giving money away that we shouldn't have to, and then we're trying to figure out how we're going to get that money back. And either way you look at it, the residents are paying double. They're paying on both ends. And that's not what my job here is as steward of the funds that the village residents give us. So I just have trouble with this whole thing. I don't see the necessity of it, and I don't see the financial sense of it. So that's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Boltis. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello?
should we let Bob go first?
No.
I don't want to harp on the $100,000, $100,000, $100,000. One project. Point's made that you want to make sure that there's safety, and it's important to have training for the contractors that come in for their employees. Excellent idea. I agree, that's an excellent idea for every contractor. At the same time, I'm an attorney who does real estate deals and some other legal work. Real estate deals, my legal training, when you come and buy a house, you should have an attorney. It's a good idea. But there's no ordinance that says you have to have somebody at your closing that's got legal training for you to close. You've got the option to discriminate on your own, whether you want to be a person that chooses to go forward without an attorney or with an attorney. Have the expense, don't have the expense. That's all I'm asking for, is for this village to not be required to discriminate against contractors who don't have programs, who may very well have multiple employees who've gone through the programs previously with other contractors. At the same time, I don't want to discriminate against the union contractor. I'm going to pay him scale. I actually tend to favor the union contractor because I do believe they tend to be a significantly better contractor, deliver a better product. In spite of the fact that they may very well deliver a better project on the majority of occasions, comparatively speaking, to the non-union contractor, I don't want to give them that step up where I say everybody's got to have, as an appropriate bidder here, the training program that a union contractor is already required to have. And it's not necessarily true. The small contractors may very well be a union contractor. I've worked for lots of a couple of union contractors, and not all of them were giant union contractors. Some of them were very small. Just because it's a small contractor doesn't mean it's a non-union contractor. But in the end, I want to make sure everybody's got a chance to bid in this village. We've put our staff here together. We've got to trust our staff. We put Manager Keener here to make sure he picks a good staff. We got to be able to trust it. If you don't trust that, then you know what? Let's go to a different form of governorship. Let's go to a different form of how we do operation of the village. If we're going to hire a village manager to hire a staff to make decisions like this, to pick contractors, then the style of government maybe is wrong. I think this particular style of government works really well for a small village, especially. And I have full faith and confidence that we've got a staff, including Manager Keener, that's going to pick the right staff, and staff that's going to pick the right contractor. Let staff make that discrimination in the end, after reviewing both contractors who are union, non-union, have qualified bidder status, or don't have qualified bidder status. Let us make the discrimination on our end. Let's not put it out there as a law that you can't even come in, and we're gonna discriminate you against you ahead of time so that you're eliminated from the process. In the end, Hal's right. It's over 100 grand. It's 150 grand. 150 grand, 150 grand. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia?
I'm a strong believer in apprenticeship programs. I think they're necessary. It's hard for me to believe there could be a building company out there who doesn't train their employees. I've worked in the past as a tradesman for small companies. They had training programs. I've mentioned that before, that I've served apprenticeships. I don't see it being out of reach for a small business owner to enroll one of his apprentices into a program. If anything, this might be a catalyst to help get better trained employees. We're already paying them as if they have been trained. We're paying prevailing wage, whether they have the program or not. And I see that it's kind of unfair. Why would we give prevailing wage to employees who haven't been trained to the level where they deserve a prevailing wage? And like the gentleman from Naperville mentioned, we have no way of determining the level of progress an apprentice has made without a training program. I mean, they could all be, 50%ers. We don't know. There's no standard. If anything this ordinance is going to do, it's going to force people to step up and get their employees trained, which is absolutely necessary, especially in public works, when they're working on our infrastructure, on our buildings, our bridges. We use our families, our children. I think it's imperative that there be a training program. And the companies that don't have them, they ought to think long and hard about getting into them, especially if they want to do work for the village. I understand there are some examples that show that people can do work cheaper without trained workers, and I get that. But I'm willing to at least try this. And I think it's something that is important, that should be done. We should require people building our infrastructure to have a training program. We're paying them as if they are. So I understand the other arguments. They make sense, but they don't overcome the larger issue of having people that we are paying as if they have served an apprenticeship the prevailing wage. So that's all I can say.
Thank you, Trustee Taglia. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ayello?
No.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfuss?
No.
Trustee Davis?
Abstain.
President Colleton?
You know, Trustee Davis,
Yes,
abstention
I know.
votes with the majority? All right, sorry, just wanted to make sure Jim said it last week, Kathy wasn't here, sorry. And I totally missed you. And yes, so with that, it passes. We go on to item 5, resolution approving a contract for architectural engineering assessments of Lufkin and Jefferson pools. The Parks and Recreation Director, Superintendent, and Recreation Manager recommend Williams Architects of Itasca, Illinois, to perform a professional assessment of both pools. The cost for the architectural and engineering assessment is $5,800. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis.
make a motion for the resolution.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia.
Second the motion.
Manager Keener and I were discussing this before this morning at our Monday meeting. Manager Keener, if you could just sort of give the scope of services, if you'd like either Greg or Marlon to come up and sort of give an explanation. And Marlon's pointing heavily to Greg, so I assume Marlon doesn't want to speak. So that would lead me to believe if Greg would like, or if you would like to go through sort of what this assessment's going to be, what our time frame is, and what we can expect to get out of this assessment after it's done.
Well, Your Honor, Greg is sporting a new haircut. I think you'd like it.
It's my summer cut.
Hopefully Eric didn't cut his hair, because look what happened to mine. So we're all set.
As I mentioned at the last board meeting, the
pool assessment will include an evaluation of the existing conditions of the pool. Williams will collect related drawings and reports provided by us, the village. They'll review all the codes. They'll visit and document the existing conditions. This will include architects and aquatic engineers that will make those assessments. They'll make a recommendation to us on whether we should order a site survey, soil borings, which I believe we've had done because they were doing some soil borings in Kenilworth. They're going to draft a report of their findings, and then they'll make their recommendations to us. I spoke with Williams, and should the resolution pass, we will we'll be on their docket probably within 2 weeks for them to start the assessment. And then the whole assessment process takes 3 to 4 weeks. And then within that time frame, then they'll make their report available to us with their findings. So probably end of March at the latest.
And we've asked for full scope of services to give us everything in and out entirety.
Correct.
All right, very good. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Ayala?
I got a suggestion. It's kind of an odd suggestion, but I'm going to suggest we do this after this current pool season. That we should table this until this pool season's over.
Can I ask why, Trustee Ayala?
Because I think the residents would prefer that this pool season goes through no matter what.
Well, the pool season will carry through. We're set to
Pool season
go.
will go through no matter what. We've implemented the fix on the liner.
Right.
Merlin and his crew have taken care of the liners, so we're all set with that. I think this will give us a good assessment. My personal thought is this will give us a good assessment during the pool season if there are issues, to put that information out there to the residents who utilize the pool on a daily basis, rather than having things hanging over everybody's head all summer long of whether the pool's gonna go or not. If we can not only open the pools as they're going to fully function normally throughout this entire summer, because we've already maintained that fix and got that up and that guarantee. So again, the pools are not closing. All pools will be open
All emails.
all summer. All pools will be open. Please put that in the newspaper. I would like that out there. But the reality is that with all of our clientele, we can disseminate this information that we get if it comes back to us prior to the pool season opening, and we can talk to have conversations all summer long with people.
Can I just put the shotgun in now?
You're out of order.
No.
Mr. President,
Marlon.
fellow trustees, it's imperative, actually, it's better off than doing spring, trustee Ayala, because they're gonna be able to see things before water gets in the filter pits. They're gonna be able to help inspect pipes and get down into the nitty gritty before it all fills up with water and it's all running. It's good for them to see it before season than actually during.
Yeah, we're definitely not closing. Marlon's crew did all the repair work for the failed liner last year, so we're set to open, and the sooner the better in all actuality.
Any other
Appreciate
questions?
that. Thanks for making me put the gun all the way into my mouth,
There you
down
go.
into the lungs at this
Not
point.
a problem. Any other questions or
Glad to help.
comments?
President Cullerton,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
all of this has to do with a plan. It'll help us put together a plan and help us figure out what is happening with the pool so we can move forward with,
Correct.
A plan.
We've needed a plan for a long
Yes,
time,
we
and this
have.
is just getting the wheels going.
yes, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayala?
Yes.
President Cullerton?
Yes, the motion moves forward. Item 6, resolution amending an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Villa Park and Salt Creek Sanitary District concerning water service termination. The Sanitary District is requesting the village to modify the existing agreement to amend the current practice to terminate water services for non-payment. Currently, the district posts a termination notice at the premises, notifying the occupant 3 days prior to the scheduled service shutoff. This request is to reduce the notification to 2 days instead of 3. Any questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote. Oh, can I have a motion on the resolution? Sorry, I need a motion.
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia.
I'll move for the resolution.
Okay, can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee Case.
Second.
Questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Colleton?
And this moves forward. Item 7, resolution awarding the contract for Iowa Community Center Project Phase 2 Playground and Park. It is the intent of the Parks and Recreation Department to proceed with Phase 2 of the project, which involves construction of the playground and park. Phase 2 of the project includes the playground, interpretive gardens, bago and bocce courts, park benches, grading, and landscaping. 3D Design Studio and village staff respectfully recommend the low bid in the total amount of $341,191.30 from Fuerte Systems Incorporated of Plainfield, Illinois. Can I have a motion on the resolution, please?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia.
move for the resolution.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Davis?
Second.
All right, quick question. When are we planning on starting and how long do you think this will take, Vetus? Or Greg? I thought maybe Vetus had a new haircut and wanted to get some
Vetus can come up here. That's,
Anybody from village staff got a new haircut? Come on up, let's go.
Marlon, can you take this, please?
There we go.
Actually, weather permitting, we're gonna try to start as soon as possible, so it'd be
Okay, fantastic.
probably sometime during March,
And
a
the
couple of
scope of
weeks.
service as far as time?
We look to be finished by end of May, early June.
Okay. So hopefully by summer, we're up and rolling with
Summertime will be
everything.
up and running, right?
All right, very good.
Awesome.
Thank you, Greg. Any other questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes, and this motion moves forward. Item 8, resolution authorizing a contract with Orange Crush LLC for the 2012 Kenilworth and Van Buren Improvement Project. The village proposes the resurfacing on Kenilworth west of Ardmore and Van Buren east of Oakland. This project is locally funded primarily through a 0.5% dedicated sales tax. Orange Crush LLC of Hillside, Illinois submitted the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $488,300. The engineer's estimate for this project was $559,565. Funds will be taken from the Street Improvement Fund. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis?
make a motion.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
I will second the motion.
Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
how can we vote on this? Do we know that he meets the qualifications from item number 4 that we just passed? Do the subcontractors meet the qualifications required in section number 4 that we just passed?
That would be a question I would ask the manager.
Yes, we already verified that.
Okay.
That's correct, Director Giskellis?
We know the general contractor would meet the requirements. We usually don't get a list of subcontractors until after the award of the contract.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Case?
Are we just doing a resurfacing on those streets? Are we doing the curbs too, or?
Resurfacing and curbs,
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Case?
Yeah, going back, yeah. This is open to can of worms. Going back to number 7, is, what's with the contractor, this guy? Is he union, non-union, or?
Does he meet the same specifications that trustee, you know what, can I have you do that when it comes to your turn for comments? Sorry, we're going back in items, so I
Well, I'm
want to
just
get
gonna-
number 8 done, and then we'll go back.
Getting too aggravated up here.
Any other questions or comments on item 8?
I feel good.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes, and again, if we could just put out notices when, on Kenilworth Avenue, we're gonna have some very pleased residents, but let them know when we're planning on starting construction, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Item 9, Village Clerk's Report, Clerk Kornacki.
No report tonight, thank you.
Item 10, Unfinished Business, none. 11, New Business, none. 12, Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have several items. Just wanted to update everyone in the audience, including our residents at home and the board, that we're still working on the remodeling. Should be completed probably in another 3 weeks here within the board chambers. Those are the colors that we have chosen, and the carpet will be a grayish carpet. We are going to stain the front of the dais here. Probably go with some different microphones. They'll probably be wired, but have a cough button and be a little more we'll have mute button. So be a little more newer. So about 3 weeks we should be done, weather permitting. I want to go through little community development statistics. I kind of promised I'd do this at every board meeting, and I'm kind of a numbers person, so I'm going to shift back from the last week versus the last week last year, same time period between 2013, 2012. So it's interesting. Let's take a look at property maintenance violations. So this last week we had 49 violations. This time last year, 2012, 42. Our year-to-date property maintenance violations are 326 now since January 1st. Last 2012 this time was 160. Follow-up inspections, 19 last week for a total of this year, 2013, of 173. 25 last the same week last year for a total of 74 in 2012. Site visits for miscellaneous. Think the crew's doing an outstanding job. Last week, 111 visits. 2013 so far, 183. Same time last year, 9 for a total of 55 in 2012. So our team is working very well. Adjudication cases, didn't have any last week. Total this year, 2013, is 79. So we are using the chambers. We're bringing them upstairs. And I have to say, we talk about this a lot as staff. The goal isn't to raise a lot of revenue. The goal is to get the deficiencies corrected, to get folks here, get deficiencies corrected out in the neighborhood, which Director Grill pointed out this evening with the 4 wards. So we had some property improvements, fantastic. That's what this is all about. It isn't about a revenue approach. I put the glasses back on. Got another interesting one. Vacant property inspections. We did 110 last week for a total of 153 for the year, 2013. Same time last year, we did 2 and then 19 for the year. I'll spare you the rest of the stats, but our program's working very well. I want to bring everybody up to date on the vehicle auction. We had a number of vehicles that were on the Obernoff auction, and my favorite one was the Harley Davidson, the 883. I thought for sure that was going to go for like $10,000. Went for $2,851.
Wow.
So
I was disappointed. We were going to bid on that.
I thought you were bidding, that's why I didn't bid.
So
He makes some big money, I don't do it, so I figured he had it down. I figured no way I could compete.
Oh, please. So the net proceeds from the auction were $18,928.78. So not too bad. Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you think we would have anticipated from that had we just done it sort of in-house and maybe posted it in the Herald? Maybe $200 to $500 a vehicle?
Yeah, somebody said high miles. And,
So the auction is doing a great job for us, correct?
It is. In fact, Your Honor, and board and residents, you may see a different resolution coming before you in the future to use Obernoff, to maybe use eBay, to maybe use trade, just to open it up a little bit, just in case some other items come forward that
Excellent.
we could do. I want to talk about recycling just for a minute, and then I'll pass. But for the month of January, we had 555 tons of refuge. Our recycling was hanging in there. It's pretty steady compared to last year, 129 tons. The recycling the month of January, the average was 9.4 pounds per household. 2012 it was 9.66, so we still need to work on the recycling, get that up there. And with that, Your Honor, I pass.
Thank you, Manager Keener. All right, go ahead. Attorney Orr,
You gave my report. I was going to talk about Senate Bill 1155.
you're going to be down for it, correct?
Oh, golly. I want to be.
Would, how many other, just for a background, how many other municipalities are probably trying to get this accomplished? And doing sort of, what we have is.
You just
for
want
those
me
of
to
you-
say what I told you privately. I
No,
can't
no,
talk.
no, no.
For a first-year senator to get a
That's
bill
not what I
this,
care.
to get a bill this good and this moving, I am so impressed, being an old woman and having been here 1,000 times. So if at all physically possible to get there Thursday, I shall, and everyone that testifies for it, it's a good bill, it's an important bill, and I know this village will benefit if it becomes law.
Well, I wanted to bring you down because Kathy, actually, we have the strictest crime-free housing program essentially in the state for a non-home rule community.
For a non-home rule, right.
So I wanted Kathy to come down with it because Kathy is the expert and investigated every municipality throughout Illinois, has gone backward and forward on every crime-free housing ordinance, everything non-home rule communities can do. I had also hoped Trustee Bolthus would come down because Trustee Bolthus had a big opportunity and a big push on this. The last few years, we've been trying to get this, and Al has also done a tremendous amount of research. As it stands now, it looks like we will definitely have the spokesperson for the IML, the Illinois Municipal League there. We have support from essentially all over the state. And we also have House sponsors if it passes through committee from different areas of the state as well. So I have sponsors lined up on the House side for it as well. So Al, how many times have we tried this through different legislators? Probably 3.
I lost count.
And we've done it through Republican and Democrat sources, and we always seem to make it to committee. I have worked with our committee chair so far of the local government committee. He sees it as a very good bill, and so I'm hoping that we'll be positive in our result there. We should hope for a second reading in February, and then head it over to the House. So that would be the key right there. And then once we get to the House, it'll be a requirement of everybody I know to send letters and make phone calls to all of your local state representatives that they have to vote for it. That's my thought on it anyway. Thank you. You should still come down. All right, Trustee Bolthus.
I have nothing tonight.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes, I have something. The Senior Concerns Commission is going to have a SALT meeting this Wednesday, February 13th at 11 a.m. at the Community Recreation Building. That's on Wildwood, and their guest speaker is going to be Sandy Hill, the director of the library, and she's going to hold hands-on training for seniors how to use technology, computers, handheld devices to access Nixle and other important alert type of notification services. So the Senior Concerns Commission will be hosting a lunch afterwards, so just encourage all the seniors to come on out. It should be a good event. It's usually a good turnout. SALT, again, is the seniors and law enforcement together, so that should be it.
Thank you, Trustee Taglia. Trustee Case?
Yes, I still want to know what we're going to do about the other roads. You know, people don't like the village sticker, which there won't be a village sticker, being like a water bill, because some of the people have their streets on the north side paid by the water bill, so they really don't care about the other streets getting done because their streets are done. That's the problem with a lot of people, but I think it has to do with a lot with the village. So I'm going to continue to bring this up to find out what we're going to do about getting money to do these streets.
Any questions?
Questions or comments?
Or answers?
Comments? Comments?
Answers, not questions.
Well, the water bill mechanism is one way, and we put out probably a little over 6,600 water bills. So if you would put maybe, say, a $15 charge per month on a water bill, raise, I don't know, upwards of $1 million probably
Per bill,
annually.
not per month, per bill.
Well, if you did it per month, it would be $45 a quarter, close to $180 a year on the water bill for the vehicles, so. But, so it's a little over $1 million if you do that a month. If you do $15 a quarter, obviously it's a little less, probably around maybe less than $500,000 a year, which is probably, doesn't go very far when you consider the cost of roadways. So, but that's, you know, that's one option we talked about.
I'm not looking to get all the roads, I'm looking at the ones that you can't even drive down right now. And second of all, are we gonna pay for damage to cars from driving down some of our streets? Are we reliable for that?
No, it's an act of God.
That's the state pays for it if you drive on the tollways. They don't?
They don't pay anything. Oh, sorry, Senator.
No, I just.
They always
You're so off the rails tonight.
I don't know, I've known a couple people to get their tires repaired from potholes.
One of the other opportunities, have you, I don't know if the manager has approached about special service areas, and you know how those work. You can take an area, borrow money against it, it's paid back by an additional tax levy on the bill. But if you do it small enough, you know, and so that if residents of a given area are willing to do that, that's one way. The real estate tax bill then is a tax deduction. So sometimes it can help, at least in that regard, for paying for the streets, as opposed to a flat fee on your water bill, which isn't a deductible item. But that's only beneficial to those who itemize.
And thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to dovetail with that. When we met with folks from Michigan, Van Buren, where it's a roller coaster, and park, we described the special service area in conjunction with the MFT, et cetera, and no one at that meeting was really overly thrilled about a special service area. And since that meeting, where we openly discussed probably with 60 to 70 homeowners, I have not received word yet that anyone was real anxious to create a special service area and add that to the property tax bill.
Thank you, Manager Keener. Anything else, Trustee Case?
My pleasure, Your
No,
Honor.
we have to keep looking.
Thank you, Trustee Case. Trustee Davis?
Thank you, President Colton. Tomorrow night, 7:30 here in the boardroom, the Traffic and Safety Commission is having a meeting. So if there are any residents that have a traffic or safety concern, please come up and let us know. And again, the Pride Commission's annual chili cook-off and the best cornbread contest, Saturday, February 23rd at the Community Rec Building on Wildwood. You can enter, entry forms are available at invillapark.com and the Village Matter magazines, which I think comes out this week. I think last I heard we got 6 entries so far. So, and I don't think the police or the fire have weighed in yet.
They must not make good chili, I guess.
I heard that they didn't, but whatever.
There we go, that should get them to sign up.
That's what I was hoping for. Thank you, President Cullors.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Thanks. A couple things. Manager Keener?
Yes.
The funding that we raised through the vehicle auction, will that funding be put into the vehicle replacement fund?
Yes, it's put into vehicle replacement fund unless it's a drug seized vehicle, things of that nature, and it goes back to the appropriate fund.
Just want to make sure it's earmarked. Thank you for that. Also, just want to give everybody a heads up that we're going to be holding public hearings in regards to the residential electric aggregation. This is a referendum that will appear on the ballot on April 9th that will ask voters to authorize the Village of Villa Park to negotiate for electric rates. We have 2 public hearings coming up. The first one is on Saturday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. here at Village Hall. And then the second one is Monday, March 18th at 6 p.m. also here at Village Hall. So that'll give everybody an opportunity to come to these meetings and find out more about this referendum. And the idea is to save the village residents money on their electric bills. And finally, I just want to say thank you to Officer Connor, Kevin Connor of our police department. I was invited to attend 2 DARE program graduations on Friday. It was wonderful to be there. It was at Albright Middle School and Ardmore Elementary School. It was a busy day, but over 200 fifth graders in Villa Park graduated from the DARE program. So I just want to say thank you to Officer Connor, and I see Deputy Chief Mike Lay, he's in the audience too. He was there as well at both graduations, so it was just a real pleasure to be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to just add a little bit about the electric aggregation. That is on our website. It's on the front page. I believe it's under headlines.
It is.
And it kind of explains it a little bit. Additionally, I was at the DARE graduations as well. And I guess I've become to realize my age because I could not beat those kids to the donuts and juice boxes. Thank you, Your Honor.
And this is, you probably didn't need to be there. That's payback for his steak comment earlier, and I told him to say that beforehand. Trustee Aiello.
We're so off the rails tonight.
I'll give you one thing. I'll tell you how we can pay for the roads. You do a referendum. Next time a referendum comes up, which is as soon as everybody gets past their elections for this spring, and we do it again in the summer. I personally don't think we need to spend 60 grand on an agency to bring them in to tell us how to market it. It's easy to market, take pictures of the roads. Let's do a referendum. Special service areas and special assessments, we've never really used them in the village. I don't recall, in my lifetime, I don't remember one. And if staff can tell me that that's wrong, feel free.
Wildwood Fairfield, 1990.
1990, there you go. So, a few years, 22, in my lifetime. You got one besides that one? You got 2, because if I'm wrong only once, it doesn't count. That's just an exception. All right, so with one stellar and missing piece from my memory. But the point is, the tendency in the village has been to do referendums so that the entire village pays for those few that need it. And it's true that I remember 20 years ago, I represented somebody and we had to come in here and present to the board. And one of the things the board at that time was asking about was how do we make sure that we maintain a better appearance on the north side? And one of the things I mentioned as a young attorney was, you need to go over there and fix the streets. And 20 years later, a good part of those streets have been done. We didn't ask one particular part of town or one particular block to pay for those streets. It was a need for the entire community to keep the whole thing going. Same thing still applies whether it's on the south side, east side, west side, or the north side, or in the middle. Whole village needs all the streets repaired, regardless of whether they happen to be in front of your street. So personally, I hate the special assessments, the special service area. Do a general referendum, goes across the board, everybody's got to pay every so often, and let's try again, I suggest, in the spring or summer, whenever.
We're trying to figure out when the next primary, the next.
we were told March.
The closest time we can do an election would be March of 14.
That's what we were told last night.
That is realistically the soonest it could be, because there is no November
Right,
election.
so I thought 3 months was good, so 6 months is plenty.
Okay, so
In my
then I guess the recommendation would be to, would probably be in summer, would be in summer to set the question to the board, to put it on the ballot for March of 14.
Works for me.
Okay. Because that's the closest we're gonna get.
Let's try and do it.
All right, then. Sounds good.
If that's the next fastest thing, unless, Venus, you got an exception to that one? For me? Never mind. March 2014 works great for me.
Perfect. Anything else, Trustee Aiello? Anything else?
I like Venus's tie. No, nothing else. Nothing else, no.
You have to go to the dry.
All right. With that, we will go to item 15, public comments on non-agenda items. If you would wish to speak on a non-agenda items, non-agenda item, feel free to come to the podium, state your name, and if you can keep it to 3 minutes, thank you. Or under 3 is helpful as well.
Hi, Kevin Barth, 144 East Kenilworth Avenue. I just want to come up here and comment about the project going on right here. I believe it was $11,000 for this project, correct, Marlon? We did a project at the police station remodeling bathrooms 6 months ago, correct, if I remember correctly? Does anyone remember? No? I don't think so. Well, I go to the Iowa Center, Community Center, probably 4 days a week with my children. It's outdated and old. It's about time we put the money where the children are at. We got a daycare center there that thousands of kids go there a week. And it looks like it's stuck in the 1970s. Just let's start putting some money where the children are at. That's all I would like to ask.
Thank you, Kevin. Anybody else on public comments on non-agenda items?
John Squeal, Northside resident. Now that you guys brought up streets, threw me off track here. I was going to talk about that, but I will in a minute. A couple of quick comments. Coffee with Al on February 2nd. Me and Al had coffee with the board. We talked about cars, and we had a good time. So, Senator Cullerton. I contacted Senator Cullerton at the last minute. Last Friday, I gave him about an hour's notice. Someone had contacted me. They wanted to meet with him, and I was in his district, and Tom was gracious enough to make room for me, and I just wanted to thank him for that. Villa Park Police, and I have commented and complimented on this issue in the past, and under our previous police chief as well. The amount of offenders with no driver's license and insurance that the Villa Park Police are taking off the street is outstanding. I don't see Chief Bob here, but keep it up. This is a very serious issue, and if you were ever involved in an accident with somebody that does not have insurance, it could cause you problems for the rest of your life. So don't ever think this goes unnoticed. Villa Park Streets, Don Case, I just wanted to mention, several years ago, 2007-8, I worked real close with Al was on the board, John was on the board, Manager Neiman, past President Stepija. I don't think Bob was here yet. But I worked real close with them on getting a lot of the streets on the north side of my area, which were grinding overlays. That's when the sales tax increase went into place. We got North Lincoln, North Mission, I think a small part of Vermont. We had money left over to do a grinding overlay partial curb replacement over there. We also
on the board for that.
What's that? You were here.
You weren't on the board for the 0.5% sales tax referendum, were you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I think he was.
That was me and Doc
It was a long
Hensley and
time
John Vargas, wasn't it?
You
Joyce and
voted
Richard.
for the tax increase, not me. Tom.
Remember? Tax
Way
and
before
Tom.
my time.
But we also,
Tax and Tom, right? That's what they call it.
we also
vote for
got
Ice
the
Fest.
second worst street in town at the time after Sunset fixed, which was Pleasant Avenue. And we got that, which was a big project, and we got all that done without a road referendum. Not that it's not necessary, but a lot of people don't travel to the north side and even realize those streets were fixed. So people don't travel all over town, so they don't know what got done. And, those are grinding overlays and partial curb replacements, but we got a lot done. But next item, if I have a minute. I have a contractor coming out, Manager Keener, Wednesday morning. I have broken sewer line. I stopped in Public Works today to ask if the sewer reimbursement program was still in place. I was told it has been funded for 2 years. Thanks to Villa Park continually planting too many trees on parkways. My parkway tree is approximately 12 inches from my sewer line. We're at 45s in the street, and I have to replace that section. I was just wondering if this program is ever reinstated. Could compensated in arrears or fill out any paperwork for that?
Good question. It's a very-
I didn't know it was underfunded. I thought I heard that, but I checked anyway with Public Works. And
It's not in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year.
okay. But is there anything I could do as far as record-wise that, I don't know.
I would imagine you could call him in the morning and him and Vetus can sit down with you to go through options.
I wouldn't be able to do that because I'm
Well,
working.
not in the morning, but sometime tomorrow. Can you call first thing in the morning?
I'm restricted from using a phone where I'm working. I'm in a refinery, and it's an explosion device, so I'm very limited on time.
Okay.
I was just curious if there was any options. I mean, I have to have it done regardless, so I can keep the paperwork and,
No.
I don't need to be
what I'm saying
reimbursed
is
immediately.
Keep the paperwork and they can start at least, worst case scenario, put you on a list, but at least
Okay.
start some, I guess, semblance of how it could financially work and how we could get started on it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep coming
I
back
don't know
here.
what those options are.
I'll be, yeah, neither do I. That's why I was just curious. But I'll be back here.
Go ahead. Thank you, Ryan. Let me look into it.
Okay.
and,
No hurry.
And I'll have an answer for you at the next board meeting, if I
Okay.
don't see you before then.
Okay.
Okay.
And as far as the vehicle stickers, I think it's a great idea, but I think they should be used for a vehicle replacement fund. You'll find that you'll get about a few $100,000 out of it, and that's where it should go. But I'm definitely in favor of vehicle stickers. Glad to hear it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other comments from the public on non-agenda items?
Can't get up anymore. I want to commend you, Senator Cullen, on working on Senate Bill 1155 and working with both sides of both parties there to try to get that forward. The other comment I want to make is that today I saw in the Tribune an article about 22 new freshmen senators and representatives that waived the right to the state pension. And I think it should be noted that the village president and Senator Cullerton was one of those that did. So commend you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments on non-agenda items? All right, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
move to adjourn.
second?
Mr. President?
Nobody? We're gonna stay
Second.
open. All right, second from Trustee Boltis. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
President Cullerton.
And the meeting is adjourned. We do not have a meeting next week for the workshop session, so we will see everybody on February 25th.
We have a meeting next week? We have a Monday off.